Good morning. It is Friday, February 22nd, and it's time for another Writer's Update. I'm going to do a writer's tip dealing with chapter size, length, number of scenes, advice as the market has changed, as writing has changed there. Um, a game session update, what happened last week, or this last Sunday, Monday. And then a little story time, a little something different, doing the reading and explaining the epigraph for chapter one of my book in honor of the fan art that was created for the main character, which I'll have as the image for this video, as the thumbnail image. So, generally speaking, I advise, or for myself, my goal is to have 2,000 words. A little less, a little more, but on average 2,000 words for a chapter, and no more than 2 scenes is my goal. Transitional scenes aside. And you can see a little bit of jujitsu marks there. I've had some tough roles lately, but I keep on going. And yeah, the editing process for my jiu-jitsu and thinking of the editing process for my writing, just keep at it. I'll be good one day. And I've been working with a chapter in my book, Valkyries of Desire, and it just kept growing and growing, and now it's at 3,600 words. And it when I was looking at like why is it so long, I realized that I thought it was 2 scenes, but it was really 3 scenes, because I had to go back to the basics, like what makes a scene. The setting or time changes, and what made something I didn't think was a scene was somebody left, and it in essence created a new dynamic. The conversation shifted. It kind of the scene changed in that they moved from outside of or from a doorway to inside the house, and the rest of the people were pushed away, and so the interaction just changed. And as far as I understand it, it feels like a different scene. So in theory, I could maybe split the chapter, and I'm still considering that. But I think there's a tendency for new writers, to get into exposition and just make things too long, chapters too long, and be ready. Maybe that makes sense overall, but the successful books, it seems, are often even just 1 scene in a chapter, and I got to keep that in mind. So that's the writer's tip. Try to keep it shorter. 2,000 words seems an ideal number of words, and if you can keep it to 2 scenes or even one, seems ideal, just to keep that page turner and that pace. Granted, I'm not always following that advice, but that's my guideline that I try to follow. So the game session, Colgrevance, the main character of the game session, the Don Quixote, the man who started the campaign with his wondrous god armor, and then had to take it off as it lost its power and became cursed, and then they used it to seal a demon portal, has gotten his armor back, but he's gotten used to being without it. He was a knight with lesser armor, and it made him a better knight, a better warrior. And so my brother, playing the character, has embraced that. Plus, he's hesitant to trust this armor that has let him down already, and he's found some other. And there's a lot of talk about armor, but this is a really important aspect that has defined him as a character. He had armor. He was, in game terms, he was a first level character with 20th level armor at the very beginning. That was just the campaign set and how it was set up. The party was kind of built around this character. It needed to be my brother to role play this character. And then after the party got a little stronger, I sort of massaged the setting so that it was likely that he would have to get rid of his armor, and it would be difficult for him to get it back. But he got it back with it. It was kind of a present, a reward the party gave him. And I was surprised, collaborative storytelling, I was surprised that he role-played, to leave it behind and to leave that baggage, to close that door and move forward as a sheriff, in his role as a sheriff. And he's going as a sheriff to bring order, to be like Judge Dredd, leaving the mega city, going to walk the earth and bring justice, bring law to the lawless, kind of a thing. And then so the rest of the party are like, all right, and they go off and they deal with this memory eater that's just been rocking the party. They've gone back. I think it was like the third time when they finally beat the memory eater. That's been messing with them. You know, it takes a chunk of memories. They can recover, but they takes a chunk of memories and then creates some what's that damn word? A clone-ish copy that then messes with them. And yeah, it was a real pain. They didn't like it, and they beat it, and so yay, good for them. And I look forward to setting up the next session. Breaking into A and B team, gonna have Sunday just be Colgrevance with some of his helpers, his squire and some of the orcs that they've trained, and then the A team will be Monday, the other party, since my brother can't play on Monday. That's how we're gonna do it. So yeah, it's fun. I like I enjoy the shorter Sunday sessions, so I don't want to just get rid of it, even with Colgrevance not being with the rest of the party. Story time. I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to read the epigraph for chapter 1, the epigraph being the kind of quote or poem or something that sort of sets the tone for chapter 1 for Valkyrie of Desire. As I've written it, but I'm writing it from the perspective of Hildr, the main character. And this is because a fellow aspiring author critiqued a chapter and was inspired to create fan art of the character of Hildr. And so thank you for that. I will link to Stephen, and I will link to his page. Freedom burns while chains chafe. Do not whisper a shout. Marks from love, scars of hate. Do not sigh a deep doubt. Time makes a bitter face. Take a breath and be loud. So, I'm imagining, the sort of the setup for the story is Hildr isn't pregnant. She was not supposed to be able to be pregnant. And she enjoys her freedom. It's also linking back to her origins of growing up in a brothel and not having, and then being a host for a demigoddess that continued to use her for missions. So with the purge taking away the demigods, including her demigoddess, she had this freedom briefly, finally. Her childhood was ruled by her mother, who was in charge of the brothel, and then as she became a woman, she was ruled by her demigoddess, and then once that demigoddess was gone, there was this brief moment of freedom, and now she's pregnant. She wasn't supposed to be pregnant. It was supposed to be impossible. And it's frustrating for her. So this is what I had in mind when I wrote this poem from her perspective. And that freedom, it burns, that chafing, those chains makes a burning feeling. It burns. Marks of love, scars of hate. I like it. Well, I hope you guys do as well. And I'm going to keep at that editing for Valkyrie's Desire, push through to the second half. See you next week.